1, 2, smile. Glitched on us for whatever reason.
What happens when, you have to move stuff around all the time, but.
I swear that wasn't my fault.
we have to blame somebody.
I mean, it didn't go offline last time.
Yeah.
All right, so we ended it.
If there's anybody watching us, though, just let us know about a comment too. If you have, as we're talking, though, one thing I forgot to mention earlier is let us know if you can hear us, and then also let us know if you have any questions or comments. Let us know. We should be able to see those on our screen
and get to them at the end.
Yeah, and then we'll get to them at the end. And this is unscripted. Obviously, this is live, so. Sometimes
mistakes happen, yeah.
Yeah, we have technical difficulties. Our internet got knocked out in our
studio.
But this is what we do, right? This is what we do at the sheriff's office.
Every day.
We see a problem.
Yeah, we gotta fix it.
And we solve it.
That's
right away.
Single time.
So let's try this again. Let's start right at the beginning. What made you want to start at the sheriff's office?
So, what made me want to start at the sheriff's office at 19 years old in 2006 was the fact that my wife and I were about to welcome in our first child. And so she was pregnant with a child. And at the time, I was working at Delmore College as a custodian, right? And I was told by many different people, my father, my wife, and everybody, family members, they were saying, babies come with expenses like Pampers and formula, cribs,
right.
clothes.
Essentials, obviously.
Everybody wants baby clothes, right, for the baby and all that. So as I started comparing all those financial needs that I was going to have to start to meet, and the fact that I was making $8.05 an hour, it probably didn't really line up. And at the time, my sister was dating somebody that was an employee in the jail, and he said, "Hey, I heard you're looking, your life's about to change here in the next couple months." I worked down at the jail, and this is what I make. And back then, you remember, Lieutenant Gonzalez, we used to get the check stubs.
Yep, the hard paper.
They would deliver them to you. So he had one of those. He had one of those on, and he showed it to me, and I was like, "Man, that's not too bad. It was actually a pretty good chunk of change for 2006."
That's funny you mentioned that. I remember you had to sign the envelope. You didn't get paid.
Oh man, throwing it back.
You have to physically sign for that on that envelope.
Yeah, on the envelope. We pass it around like, "Hey, here's yours," and you open it. Sure enough, I actually still have one. I should have brought one with me. Yeah,
I have a couple myself. I have them there.
Hey, so he showed me one of those, and when I saw it, I showed my wife. She was like, "I think we could buy a crib and some Pampers and all that."
Lots of diapers.
Yeah,
right.
And then what got me after he showed me all that, he says, "And they have unlimited overtime." Unlimited overtime, and that's the thing. And when I told my dad that, he said, "Hey, Neil, you're gonna have to do that, man. Hey, you're gonna have to go do that. Unlimited overtime is something that he would talk about all the time. Hey, extra shifts, you got to get it done.
Right.
You got to do what needs to be done.
There's always work at the sheriff's office.
All the time.
24/7.
Yes, sir. And so I applied, I got interviewed, and I got the job at the tender age of 19. In 2006. Yeah, working at downtown at the Nueces County Jail.
All right, so let's back it up a little bit, though. Let's go back to your time in high school. I know you played football there. That's where you met your wife. So let's talk about that and how that kind of helped your mindset to move into the jail.
So what was the best thing that came out of Moody High School?
So the best thing that came out of Moody High School wasn't wearing the blue and gold, wasn't being a Trojan, the Moody magic, and all the lore that comes with being a Moody Trojan. It was the fact that I met my beautiful wife there.
Veronica, right?
Veronica Martinez, obviously. Yeah, we met in high school. Actually, it was a summer going into high school. We worked at McDonald's on Castores and SPID. I was washing the dishes and I was kind of slow at it. And we weren't able to leave the workplace until the dishes were done. So everybody's time was on me and the fact of how long it was taking.
They're all standing around like,
so my wife, being as helpful as she was for me, home, she went back there and started helping me. And so during that washing of the dishes to get out is where I found out that she went to Moody. I said, I play football. And so I kind of threw that out there. Have you ever been to a football game? And, like the kids talk about, got a little rizzy with her and kind of shot my shot and it worked out. And so that fall going into after summer, we started hanging out and the rest is history. But yeah, that's definitely the best thing that came out going to school at Moody was the fact that I got to hold her hand in high school. She got to wear my Letterman jacket, even though it was all the way down to her knees. I think I was a 4X back then. My wife's only 5 foot tall, but she would wear it proudly.
That's
It would be off her arms, it would be down to her knees, but she would wear it, and the favorite dances and the proms and all that I got to experience with her was the best part of it. But one of the things that I did learn playing football, aside from that, was a lot of the teamwork and self-discipline and discipline that it takes to be successful on the field, or some of the things that we use now here at the sheriff's office, right? Like
teamwork, how to practice, execute. It's kind of the same thing. You set up a play, and then you got to learn how to execute that play, right? And so that teamwork, that exercise, that mindset. It definitely transitions over into the sheriff's office.
Sure. It's a team game that I learned to play from an early age, and here at the sheriff's office, it's a team game now. I think you can say it honestly and clearly and without hesitation that we can't do this by ourselves, no matter what division we're working in.
Right.
Whether you're in patrol, in the jail, CID, warrants, they have a team of people in every single division. Even Lieutenant Gonzalez being in charge of training, he has a team that helps him. He does. A lot of times he's recognized as the person that facilitates and the person that's in charge of it all and putting it all together. He has teammates that go and execute.
At the end of the day, we're like the head coach, but even the head coach, you have your assistant coaches, and it trickles all the way down, and together, that's how we operate. So
and one of those teams that I've heard you talk a lot about is Jet.
Oh,
was one of your first major pulls into a different.
Yeah, when I started at the sheriff's office in 06, I walked through those doors, and you remember your first day.
I remember my first day. Lieutenant Castleberry.
Yeah, James Castleberry.
Yep.
Shout out to Lieutenant James Castleberry.
I hope you're doing all good.
I hope you're good. You're the man, and there's a lot of things you learn from that man too. Yep. Shout out to you, Lieutenant. Hopefully you're doing good and life is good for you up there. So,
who was your lieutenant again?
So I walked through those doors, right? You don't know what to expect. And the first 2 people I met, they were now Captain Willoughby, who was a sergeant back then, and a lot more hair back then. And then I love you, Captain.
Thank you for the furniture.
Yeah, thank you for all this. Captain
Don't
Willoughby
make
does but see, if you know Captain Willoughby, he's more of a jokester than I was.
Yeah, for sure. Jokes for days.
I just missed the exit on the new bridge and landed in Portland, and I still hear it to this day from Captain Willoughby about how I don't know where I am in my own county, but that's a fair statement. So I'll get you back with that one. But anyway, so then Sergeant Willoughby and now Captain Willoughby, he was one, and then Captain Whitmore, recently retired Captain Whitmore. Those are the first 2 people I met when I walked through those doors, and they called me Baby Huey. Oh, you're Baby Huey, Call me what you want. I've been called worse. But they broke me in. They welcomed me in. They were really, they started to show me around and what to expect here. And as they were doing that, I saw a group of guys in a black uniform, which was completely different than what we wore back then. The regular correctional officers,
the
right?
Green uniform with the yellow stripe.
Well, they had a special name for it, but there are a lot of special names.
There's a lot of special names.
But we'll just call it the green uniform.
The green uniform
for the sake of our podcast. So it was black. It was different. And so I asked them, I said, what do those guys do? How come they're dressed in that tactical BDU uniform, which really stood out? It had its own personal patch. It had its own badge. It was really, really nice and different. And so they explained to me, those are the guys that we call on when things get a little rough, or when the security risk is heightened, or we're dealing with something out of the ordinary that a regular correctional officer wouldn't be called to do. We call those guys.
When stuff hits the fan, they get called in.
So basically, when you need like a special response, right? Like almost like a SWAT
team for the
but
jail.
inside the jail. It's its own city, its own environment.
That's the best way to put it. It was a SWAT team for that environment.
Yes,
right.
Which means no weapons. I mean, you have a shield and
So, but what was important now, knowing what I know now, was the fact that they trained.
They train, right? There's a lot of it. Kind of going back to like the football days when you plan, you execute, you plan, you execute. And then, taking it back to like an example it's like Friday Night Lights. So that jet team, you're waiting, you practice, you discipline, and then you're waiting for that Friday night, football game, or in this case, a special response.
And you learn pretty quick that, you know, from a football game to now this, you know, you get that call and you're putting on the gear, the helmet, and all that. There's a lot of different things at risk in those moments, and you learn that pretty quick. But yeah, so those guys did that, and so when they explained all that to me, like what we talked about, what they do and how they train and how they're the guys, I immediately attached myself to that. I had a vision. I said, that's all I wanted to do.
That's what I want to do.
I didn't care about it being a captain.
Those guys.
I didn't care about being a sergeant. I didn't care about being a lieutenant. I didn't care about gold stuff. I wanted to wear that black uniform with that cool patch, and I just want to do what they do. That's all I cared about. And so I did everything in that first year that I could possibly do to impress them, and to show them that I was committed, to show them that, hey, I'm one of y'all.
Because you had to be chosen.
You had to
right?
be chosen,
Yeah.
exactly.
And not chosen, you have to earn.
You have to earn.
Yeah. And so, you know, Captain Martinez, you know, and I'll test that because, you know, I've been around the block since probably the beginning of time. So it wasn't something you were just chosen. You had to earn it. You had to show that you were disciplined, and most importantly, that you're going to put the work in and that you could execute, you know, what the play is.
Yes.
And so you had to earn it. And so Captain Martinez, he earned it.
You worked hard.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
There was a lot of things that they would evaluate, and then once I made the team, of course, you start to look. There's a lot of things that they wanted to see in you,
Right.
in order for them to feel that you were qualified and going to be a piece to the team to keep it moving forward.
To keep moving forward.
And I know you aren't brag on yourself, but I think I heard that you were the youngest.
Yeah, so
ever to be
I
chosen?
did. So for that first year, like I said, I started when I was 19. So that first year, I did everything they asked me to do, and anything they needed, I was there. Extra shifts, you know, clean the toilet, whatever they asked me to do. We got it, and we do clean toilets, and we do everything.
You do everything.
We do everything. So yeah, at 20 years old, a position came open to be a part of that team, and like I said, I told them that, hey, I wanted to do that, and yeah, they took me in and they gave me that black uniform. At 20 years old, I was the youngest jet officer to ever be there, and I took a lot of pride in that.
Absolutely.
And doing that, even looking back now, going on 20 years in, and now in the position that I'm in, those are probably some of the most fondest memories that I have as being a part of that team, and the relationships that I made. I still have relationships with those people and talk to those people that were a part of that original jet team. You know, they're all doing good things, and some of them have promoted. They work at different agencies. You know, they're lieutenants in charge of different things. And I think if we were to suit up now, we probably wouldn't be as quick as we used to be.
Well,
things would probably pop, and you know.
And we're going to talk about injuries, but first I want to go back a little bit because you've talked before about what an important part of your life your dad was. So how much of a part did he play in your, you know, football and high school guidance, and then also into your guidance when you started at the jail?
Yeah, so my dad, I grew up a single parent home, but a single parent being my dad. He raised me and my sister by himself. He cooked, he cleaned, he did the laundry, and at a certain age when we got there, he taught us how to cook and clean and do the laundry because he was working full time and raising us full time. So, and I can't overstate the importance of a father, or at least a strong male role model in your life. You know, I feel like a lot of the successes or a lot of the things that I've been involved in that I've been able to accomplish is because of the discipline that he instilled in me. You know, I still hear him say, you know, tell me, hey, don't do that. That's going to get you in trouble, or whatever the case is. You know, you need to do this, or you need to call your wife and make sure she knows you're thinking about it. Yeah, call her right now. You know, like those little things. He was so instrumental in my life. You know, he passed away in 2019. You know, I lost him. He had a really bad diabetes battle that he ended up losing at 56. But yeah, he's the one that put me in football. He never missed any games. He got his GED at 38, so he was already, you know, he had to redrop that. He was working since he was 17 at Del Mar College. He was a custodian for over 30 years. You know, he supported us on a custodian salary even then. And looking back, I wouldn't have even noticed. I didn't feel like I was missing anything. He's, to me, like I always say, he's like a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest of all time to ever do it. You know, and I just really, most of the time I'm in doing what I do, whether it's being a father or being in my work or being a good friend.
Right. And going back, you know, I can attest to that. You know, I've met, you know, Captain Martinez's dad, and you know, and I you know, over the years, like I said, we've been around for a little while now, for a long time. So you know, I got to meet Captain's dad, and you know, it was always, you know, we would always joke, you know, and sometimes, you know, make fun of.
I still see the images.
Yeah, and so that would like I would always have every time I would be at a function or something, it would always be I would enjoy the heck out of it, and I think going back to your parents, our parents are very vital in keeping us on track, because
and just laying the foundation, like they just lay the foundation, and you have that foundation, you can stand on it and then build from there. But it's so important, like no matter what I do in my career here, or no matter what I do, as whatever God's plan is, there's no more important role or legacy that I'm going to leave than being a father.
Absolutely.
Lieutenant Gonzalez, that's the most important thing that we're going to do. And I think my dad knew that, and that's why he did what he did and how he raised us, because he knew that a long time ago. And whether he said it or not, he knew it, because I feel it now. I see how important that is.
Right. So let's
back into it.
Yeah,
yes.
let's move forward a little bit.
With back in the jail, you were loving life. You were on the jet team, and then you decided to buy a motorcycle.
I decided to buy a Harley Davidson motorcycle. Like I said, the checks were not bad back then, for a 21-year-old kid at the time. Now I'm 21. We're 2 years in. I started in 06, so this is in 08. Yeah, I bought a Harley Davidson. Probably you were probably telling me, like, don't do that. What are you doing? So he's always, Lieutenant Gonzalez is always trying to be.
I don't think that's a good idea.
I remember the comment, like, don't do that. Like, hey, you got a lot of stuff going for you right now. You probably should invest. He's always talking about investing in my house.
I mean,
invest here, do this. I still don't listen, right? I don't listen. Even I didn't listen. I bought the motorcycle, and within the first month, I'm driving down Rodfield Road. It's in November of 2008, and I'm driving too fast. I'm telling you, boys will be boys. The 21-year-old kid, a Harley Davidson motorcycle, powerful machine. You really don't respect it, and you don't really understand the things that can happen when you don't ride responsibly.
But when you're 20, 21, you think you're bulletproof.
You think you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and I think
indestructible.
Yeah. I really probably. I felt that. Yeah, that's exactly what the mindset was. I mean, I was so in that mindset of being 10 foot tall and bulletproof that on that day I wasn't even wearing a helmet. I wasn't even
wear your helmet.
Wear your helmet.
Wear your helmet.
Wear it on. You're not that cool.
You look cooler with it on, actually.
Yeah, because as soon as I wrecked that motorcycle in 2008 and I hit my head and it becomes bleeding, it's that immediate regret. Like, man, I probably should have put my helmet on, but by then it's too late because I'm rolling on the ground and I'm spinning over the top of the motorcycle because I was riding a little too fast than I should. And I suffered a very significant injury, 10 staples to the head here. I suffered a compound fracture to my left ankle. I've had 4 surgeries actually since that day to reconstruct it and build it back to where it's supposed to be. A lot of therapy that I had to go through.
And the doctors were telling you that you weren't going to get to do your job anymore, right?
Yeah. Going through that, the recovery process and how significant the injury was. The doctors had told me that I should look to change career fields, even entertain applying for disability at the time, which was crazy to me. And the reasons why they were saying that is because they were saying you're not ever going to be able to run again, so you can't do what you were doing before. And you're probably going to need a cane. And here's the cane. Here's the catalog for the cane. There's some nice ones for you. I was like, man, I don't think that's for me. But, being that naive and being that foolish at the time and not knowing the magnitude of what happened, I think that benefited me because I didn't believe him. Even though he's a trained, I didn't believe him. And so I think that's the reason why I was able to push through all that is because I didn't believe what he was saying. To me,
you didn't see a dead end. You said there's light at the end of the tunnel.
You don't know who I am. Or I didn't even know who I was until, we got through all that. You talk about being humbled. I was humbled fairly quickly through that experience. I couldn't walk for almost 9 months. For the first 6 months, I was bedridden. And for those last 3, I was learning to walk. So it was a long process to recover. Yeah, so I had to step down from my position in the jail because obviously I was at work. And I was physically unable to
perform the duties as required. So, but was that a driving force? That to come back to the sheriff's office, did that kind of help through your process, through your physical process?
Yeah, there was a lot of times downtime. During that recovery process. During that time, my dad was starting to experience his medical issues, so he was in the hospital while I was at home recovering. So what really kept me going was I had really felt as though the jail needed me. I felt the jet team needed me. I felt the supervisors needed
I'm sure
me.
Lieutenant
And-
Gonzalez thought so
And,
too.
you know, whether it was true or not, I don't know. But in my mind, I'm like, man, I gotta go.
Right.
I gotta get back over there because the jail needs security, and I need to go and do it. You know,
And you were an important part of that.
I really felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that.
And I'm sure you got phone calls every now and then. Hey man, when
Yeah,
are you
how
gonna
are
come
you
back?
doing?
When are you gonna come
Yeah.
back? When are you gonna come
And
back?
I
Right?
did, and so that even though, you know, because there's a lot of ups and downs in recovery, there's a lot of time to think. You know, so getting those phone calls when you're at, you know, when I was probably like, man, am I ever gonna get out of this? Hearing them talk and hearing them again saying, tell me the stories that were, hey, today we did this and did that. I was like,
I gotta get back.
I'm coming back. Trust me.
That
you
peer
know?
support.
Make sure you have a cake ready because I'm coming. It's gonna be a celebration. It's gonna be a celebration, and we're
Right.
gonna get back to what we're doing. And even when I hung up the phone and I said all that, I'm looking at my leg like, man, are you ever gonna do it? There was a lot of doubt sometimes.
Yeah.
But like you said, that I really wanted to get back into the fold. I really wanted to get back home and do my part to be a part of that team and continue to progress through my career. Yeah, there was a lot of. I did think about the jail a lot.
So 9 months of hard recovery,
yeah.
and then you applied to come back.
Yes, in 2009, then Chief Deputy Galvan was able to see me, and I was able to hide my limp enough to get through, put on some boots, and kind of get. You remember
Walk the walk.
I had to walk the walk and suck it up, and I sat in his office and I told him I'm ready to come back, and he kind of looks and. Are you sure where you live? I said, no, it's just the way I walk. You ain't gonna link.
Just the way I
It's just the way I walk. Growing up on the west side of Corpus Christi,
And he chose to believe
know?
you, yeah.
And he did. And he's like, okay, well, you know, we have openings, right? Back
Yeah.
then, we have opening. We have
Quite a few
we have a
openings.
spot for
Yeah,
you.
we have a spot for you. That's
little
for sure.
little guy. And so yeah, he let me come back in 09 and you know, and I got back on the team and you know, just walking back there the first day was I felt accomplished. Like I got through that. I was able to overcome that. And yeah, a lot of it had to do with the relationships I had. That really brought me along, and I still appreciate it even now.
It's kind of like a family, and we're kind of
Yeah.
you know making sure everybody's taken care of, and
Right.
and just kind of you know that peer support. And we come on, we need you, we need you, we
Yeah,
need you.
yeah,
And
y'all
Gotta get back.
didn't give up on me, so it's like, man, they're not.
you can't give up on yourself.
And that re-instilled in my mind, they need me. You see what they're calling me.
Yep.
I need to get back over
we need to
and
get
so-
you back on the team.
there. Yeah, I need to go.
Back
But
on
you
the
did
team.
have to ultimately, moving forward, to get to be able to go on patrol, you had to resign again
Yeah,
to
so
put yourself through the academy.
So yeah, when I went back in 09, I decided in 2011 that I wanted to become a patrol. I had an aspiration to be a deputy. I know there was a lot of different things that the sheriff's office provides, and patrol was one of them. I wanted to touch that base. I wanted to see what that was like. So in 2011, I decided to try to go to the Del Mar Academy. And like you know, Lieutenant, there's a physical fitness
There's a
requirement.
physical fitness requirement. Yep.
There's a physical fitness requirement. You got to run. You got to do sit-ups. There's a sprint.
There's a sprint too.
So, you know, I decided from one day to the next, like, I'm going to go try out in 2011. And I woke up that day and I was like, yeah, where's the test at? And I went to run and my leg was still not in the condition to run. And that's when I kind of realized, man, it was a serious deal. And the life lessons going back to playing sports and growing up, I had to apply them again. You can't just wake up and run a mile and a half in 13 minutes.
right, you're not gonna be able to play 60 minutes of a football game
No.
if you don't
From the couch.
Yeah, from the couch.
No, you're not going to be able to do it.
You got to be in the gym. You got to be dedicated.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of go back to the
Every
basics.
day.
Especially when you were still somewhat recovering.
So, yeah, because
Right.
even though it had been 2 years, it was that significant of an injury that everything had to get stronger again. Muscles that weren't used for almost a year.
Right.
So, and you know, naive and foolish as I was being young, I didn't know that until that day. So, one of the guiding principles is the self-discipline. I had to discipline myself again. I had to start to run and prepare myself to pass because here in 2008, you didn't make it, man. We're not going to do it.
Right.
I had to go back into the jail and say, guys, I didn't make it. And there was a little bit of like, it was hard to do. It was hard to see, but it also was like, hey, do you want it or not? Do you want it or not? And so a year of
Practicing discipline, getting back in
Training.
shape.
doing all those things, like running, probably not eating as many tacos as I was, you know, or drinking as many Cokes as I was.
Right.
Later, I tried again in 2012, and I made it, and I was accepted. And one of my classmates, who's one of our sergeants here, David Alvini, shout out to you, man. he actually went with me to that, and he's still currently an employee too. And so we went through it together, and I was able to graduate from the Delmar Regional Police Academy in 2012 successfully, along with our sergeant here.
But you didn't get to come right back, right?
No. So yeah, as soon as I graduated, you learn a lot of things. Like you learn a lot of different scenarios and a lot of training in the academy that you want to apply.
It makes you eager to go out there and apply what you learn.
You're chomping at the bit, like they say,
Yep.
to get out there and save the world, right? Because that's what you think
That's
you're going to do.
idea,
Right?
yeah.
But there's also an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
people, we have a lot of, and as you continue to go on through these, talking to the people here, you'll see, a lot of people have been in that situation where
Right.
So, but when you're fresh out of the academy, you want to put the cape on and do it.
Yep.
So as soon as I came out of the academy, the patrol, sheriff's patrol was fully staffed. They didn't have a position, and so the only position they had, of course, was in the jail. But I was so eager to be on the road and save the world that the first agency that gave me a call back and gave me a chance to work was the Sinton Police Department, the city of Sinton, Texas. And Chief Eugene De Leon, who just recently retired, gave me an opportunity. He actually came out to my house and did his own background investigation, the chief of police, which is a big deal.
Right.
He came and met my dad. He met my wife. He met my young son and my daughter at the time. She was already here. And offered me the job in my dad's living room of his house as he was there smoking a cigarette. My dad he couldn't stop, Yeah, and so I accepted it. And I told him, I gave him a commitment. I told him I was going to work and I was going to work hard from it. And for 3 months I did. It took 3 months for the sheriff patrol to open up, and I just missed home.
There's no place like home. There's no place like
And
home.
I hear that a lot. Lieutenant Gonzalez did the same thing. He left, went to the academy, and came back here. Everybody, it really is like a family atmosphere here. People want to come home.
Yeah, and so after 3 months when it opened, I took the first chance I got to come home, and I applied, and it was a competitive process. I went against, I think, 7, 8 people applied. And may not seem competitive to some bigger agencies like the City of Corpus or the DPS, but for our agency, it's a lot.
For the limited number of spots, yeah.
Yeah, because there's only
one spot. Yeah.
And and I got it, and I had to break the news to Chief De Leon, like, hey, man. And he understood because Chief De Leon was a product of Sinton, Texas, so he was able to patrol his hometown for his whole career. And I had the opportunity to do that, and he understood the opportunity, and he, no hard feelings. I'm anxious. I'm glad to see you going where you want to be. Looking forward to seeing how your career progresses. And so he gave me, so that meant a lot to me that he wasn't upset about it, and I came home.
And it has progressed, because look at you now.
Yeah, it's progressed a lot.
You worked patrol for a while before you promoted the first time.
Yeah, I was on patrol, and I got everything you learned in the academy. You applied out here. The officer safety, the pursuit driving. I got into a high fair share of pursuits. I'm pretty sure I drove my sergeant crazy at the time. Conrad Guzman, hopefully watching. He's a captain of Ingleside PD now. But yeah, he was my first sergeant. I'm pretty sure I had him working because I was getting involved in pursuit. There was a lot of illegal activity going on that I was finding myself in, just driving around.
And you even had an officer involved shooting at one time.
Yeah. So yeah, that was later in my career in 2015. Yeah, there was you train for that situation as well in the academy, and that training, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of training, and my level of training got me through that. It was a very dangerous situation where somebody pulled a gun on me and took a shot, and I did what needed to be done that day, and luckily no lives were lost. Everybody's healthy and survived. Even that guy that day, he's healthy, and there was no lives lost. But yeah, it's one of those things that you have to be mentally prepared for. You have to be physically prepared for,
and you did what you needed to do to go home to your family.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, just one of them things.
Yeah. So then, when you've been in patrol, you did training. Did you train other officers? Were you?
No. I never. I kind of bypassed that. I promoted. Okay. I promoted to sergeant, to the rank of sergeant, in less than a year.
Okay.
Once I came out to patrol,
okay.
I promoted in a little less than a year, and I got promoted to the rank of sergeant. So I was a first line supervisor for the next 3 years. The next 4 years, and I did my thing. At the time, the environment. I don't want to talk about, maybe not the environment. There was an opportunity to go and supervise the jail, which I hadn't done yet. I did 6 years in the jail, but I was never a supervisor.
Okay.
And sometimes, like in the jail, it's a little bit more hectic. There's a lot more people to supervise. And so
Talk
sometimes,
about that. The span of control,
you
how
know,
different.
the span of control you have, you know, in patrol you have one sergeant and you have 3 or 4 deputies. In the jail is you have, you know, one sergeant and a lieutenant, and you have 40 people to supervise, and then you have, you know, 1,200, 1,300 inmates. So the span of control, you know, Captain can attest, it's a little bit, it's just different. It's
lot
different.
Yeah.
And so that was a challenge I wanted to see.
It's very challenging. You know, there's a lot more that people don't maybe understand. Sometimes, you know, there's a lot of more coverage and things like that, and so that's a challenge in and of itself.
So I wanted that. I wanted to experience that. And so when I put in my letter to transfer, I was the first one to ever do that, and I don't think nobody's done it since.
To transfer from patrol
to request the transfer. To request the transfer from the patrol division to the jail. I think it hasn't happened since.
I don't think
it happened before. And
but I'm sure that's experience that you're glad that you had.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So within those first 3, I thought I was going to go in, but walk in the park.
Walk in the park.
Completely different environment. From being just a line officer to a supervisor in the jail is just a night and day difference. So that first 3 months, there was actually a learning curve. Now, mind you, I was already in the jail before, and I was already a patrol supervisor. Going back in there was a learning curve. You're talking about time management. You talk about, you know, being organized with everything. You know, I didn't have those things. Procrastination. I was a bad procrastinator before I went into the jail as a supervisor. Those habits had to go away quick, or you weren't going to make it as a sergeant. And those sergeants in the jail, you know, God bless you guys. That is, I can say now, honestly, that is probably the toughest position that I held, was being first line supervisor. It is very.
People, you often hear the sink or swim acronym, but in the jail, it really is being a jail supervisor, a jail sergeant. You constantly have to be able to sink or swim, because there's just so much, you know. And I hate to put it this way, but it's chaos management. There's always, you know, obviously there's people that don't want to be in jail, and you're managing those people, and then of course you have a huge amount of personnel that you have to manage.
The personnel, you know, the different personalities, not just with the inmates, but the officers, you know, the different things that go on there. You have to be able to deliver the same message to 100 different people, 100 different ways, so that way they interpret and understand it, and again, go and follow the what you're trying to say, go and follow the directives. And so you talk about, managing that, it was very difficult. Like I said, procrastination had to go out the window. Time management, you really had to learn how to, you know, settle yourself down and do all that. It is a very tough job. You hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And
there's no stopping. No. It's 24/7, and there's always something different. There's always something going on. It's not the same. Every day is just like a completely different, thing. But it makes you, a better manager. It makes you a better administrator. There's just so much to learn in that position, and it's not easy. And you do learn a lot.
I can honestly say it's one of the most difficult, for different reasons. There's difficulties in every position. But for me, and what I was weak at the time, that was definitely the hardest position I've ever held here, because, like I said, I wasn't good with time management. I was a bad procrastinator. And you know, I went in there with the attitude like, this is going to be walking.
Not walking.
But man, I'm so glad I went in there, and I did that for a year. I did that. And it wasn't because I planned to only do it for a year. And in a year,
another opportunity
came. And the then sheriff, kind of opened up the position of lieutenant of patrol. There was a promotional opportunity. And so within a year that was there, and I applied. I wanted to try it out. And I think my experience in the jail kind of...
It set you apart for sure, because...
and you were there during that process.
And I remember that. I was there during that process. There was, there's a lot of people that put in for it. But
there was. Outside
people from the agency, inside people from the agency. But what sets you apart is that, maybe these people have managed 3 or 4 people, 5 people, but when you manage 40 people and then 1,300 inmates, that's a big difference.
Yeah,
and so that, I think back then, and it's quite some years ago, I think for sure that was a big
I think that would play a huge role,
factor, right? I mean,
I can say that was probably the reason why I got selected and promoted, was because that 1 year of being a sergeant in the jail really set me head and shoulders above the other people that were going for it. Because you can talk about all the different things, but when you talk about 1 to 40 span of control, when you're talking about that jail and how it can be, when there's certain questions asked and a lot of scenarios that play itself out, you can answer the questions because you've gone through a lot of the different
Right.
things that they're asking about, you know. And that just I interviewed and I was selected. I was promoted in December of 2018 to the rank of lieutenant of patrol operations, and I was really proud of that.
And then
So I
let's
came
talk
back.
about the jump now from lieutenant to captain, where you are now.
So yeah, I did. I was a lieutenant in patrol for 5 years, and that's a, a shout out to Lieutenant Eric Wood. He's now the lieutenant of patrol. I think he can. When you ever have him on here, he can tell you that that's a whole different set of challenges too. Because the lieutenant in patrol serves as the executive officer.
Right.
He's the guy. Right. He's the guy that gets all the phone calls from the sergeants when things are happening on the field, and he's the guy that facilitates the stuff from the administration down. So he's the guy that kind of gets everything, and he's a facilitator.
He's the bridge, and the 18 meters are going over that.
Yeah, he is.
All day, every day, real
All
fast.
day, every day. He's that bridge, and the 18 meters are going by every day.
So, so for that, 5 years I did that, and so he can see it now for the past 2 being there. That had his whole different set of challenges as well, because you have to learn how to, take what the direction of the agency is going, whether you agree with it. There's some policy, and everybody can say that, even up to the sheriff and the chief. There's some things that come down that you're like, you have to find a way to articulate the reasons why. And there's always a reason why certain things come out. And so you have to be very skilled and versed in why we do certain things and why policies exist, and explain them to somebody that's 22, fresh out of the academy, right? That
Thinks they know everything.
That's ready to drive.
Thinks they know everything, yeah.
Yeah. You have, and so that lieutenant's position, I did it for 5 years, and so you learn to do that, and lieutenant did a good job of doing it now. And luckily for me, Sheriff Hooper and the chief deputy saw that, after my predecessor decided to take another position, they saw that I was qualified and maybe capable to take the next step and to assume or accept the role as being the captain over the division.
And most definitely, and I hate to go back, but you earned it. You put your time in the jail. You were a jet officer. You put yourself through the academy. You came back to the sheriff's office. The show of commitment is there, and so you've earned that. Every step of the way. Here at the sheriff's office, you earn everything that comes your way. But you put the work in and everything else that goes.
And as someone that's doesn't have a law enforcement background, it's very obvious the leadership skills and the people that you're leading look up to you and look to you for guidance. And I think that plays an important role in you being able to do your job successfully.
Yeah, for sure. And whenever they decide to share that with me, there's times that I've been in my office and they share that with me. Even people that now work for the city of Corpus Christi, police officers, they still reach out and share something with me. Hey, just checking on you. Want you to know you're one of somebody I still talk about, and I still think about this conversation we had, and I apply it. Like, when I hear that just reignites the fire again, because it can be mentally exhausting to be up here, physically exhausting as well, to include being in charge of an operation like this. There's a lot of responsibility, and being in charge
it's not just the physical aspect of it, but also the mental aspect of you have people out there, and ultimately,
everything they do is
a reflection of you. Everything that your people do is a reflection of you, and then you don't want to let the sheriff down.
No.
And so there's always that mental, man, I don't want to let the boss down, and then ultimately we don't want to let the people of Nueces County down, because it all kind of it's encompassed all together. And so there's a huge burden sometimes that people don't realize that it's there. And as you can see, now when we started, our hair was black and shiny, and now we're getting a little bit of white and gray hair, and it's that burden, that you carry on your shoulders.
Especially when you take it seriously, and both of you, do take it seriously, and you spend a lot of time outside of the office honing those leadership skills and making sure that those stay sharp. I know I've heard you talk about it a lot, and Lieutenant Gonzalez as well, and I think that has a lot to do with it, that you don't just leave the office and don't worry about it until tomorrow.
And so all those things you said, and the point I was trying to make, you talk about all of that, and then we also have families. We talk about fatherhood and those challenges that come with, and the wife, the daughter is different. The 18-year-old son as opposed to the 8-year-old son's different, which I have all 4 of them. Managing all that and making sure you're good at it, it's a lot. So whenever I hear those guys share those thoughts with me, it makes it all worth it. Just those little things, it makes it a lot worth it, and I appreciate it.
And in your case, it helps. Like that. Veronica, your wife, she helps.
Oh man.
Tell us a little bit how that helps.
Man, so like I said, I've been with her since I was 16 years old, and she's seen me as a janitor at 400 pounds. Because at one time I was 400 pounds.
So a little side note,
Wow.
Yeah.
both of us have weighed 400 pounds.
400 pounds. Collectively,
You guys
it would
are
have been
big.
800 pounds.
Wow.
Together.
Y'all are awesome.
And we didn't change our lives. So the point I'm not trying to make is, yeah, it takes a lot of hard work, as you know, to maintain
Absolutely.
and discipline to do that. But she's loved me then. She loved me making $8 an hour at 400 pounds, bringing home McDonald's. She loved me then. She loved me when I was hurt, going through my motorcycle accident with my leg in shambles, with, having to sponge bathe and all those things. She loved me then. She loved me as a correction officer. She loved me as a sergeant. She loved me as during my worst times. She's always been there. So it's a nice place after talking about all the mental things that we have to deal with, physical things we deal with. It's nice to go home, take it all off, and have a soft place to land. And she's been that soft place to land for me for 22 years now. I've actually been with her longer than I've been without her. Because I've been with her 22 years. I lived 16 years without her. Because I'm 38 years old now.
Wow.
So she's man, I can't imagine where I would be or who I would be without her. She inspires me to be great, or to be good, and to be a good person, because she's a woman of faith, and she's the one that's always bringing me down, like humbling me. Like I might say something, I might be on the phone, I might talk to Lieutenant Wood in a certain tone that I typically wouldn't because of the stresses, and I'll hang up the phone and she'll tell me, why did you didn't have to say it like that. You could have delivered it this way. That was you're a little rough around the edges.
It gets a little bit of humble you down.
Better than, who do you think you are?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
You're not.
I like
Calm
it.
down.
Yeah.
You need to calm down.
That's awesome.
You need to calm down.
I think everybody needs that, right?
Yeah, and so she is that, and she does not hesitate. Unapologetically will be there to make sure, like, hey, dude, you're not. Calm down. He's the man. You're not the man. Relax. And so I like to have that there. So yeah, a soft place to land. Somebody to check you.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we need that as men. Having a good wife like that, a good mom. She's so selfless. She's the most graceful, forgiving woman that I've ever met, because I've not been perfect. I'm not perfect by any means. And she loves me through the imperfection.
And the understanding, right, of all the phone calls you get at night. So you have to have somebody there,
and
like
not
a
just at
support
night,
system.
when we're having a dinner night,
Yep.
right? We're having a date, and we haven't had a date in 6 months or however long it goes on.
And a phone call comes, and a phone call comes in, right?
She understands that I have to take.
And so that's the other vital role people don't see, is that even when you're at home, the phone calls never stop, and so you have to have a good family support system.
And I can validate the other side of that. My husband is CCPD, and there have been many a date night where you have to take a phone call at dinner, and you just have to understand that it comes with the job. It's not easy.
And your husband's a supervisor too, with a big agency like Corpus Christi PD. There's always something going on in the city of Corpus Christi, so he does take those calls.
Yes.
So to be graceful and to be understanding, like, behind every man is a great woman, but I like mine by my side though. But it's a true statement, and I'm glad she picked me, and I'm glad she said yes when I asked her to marry me, because man, I don't know what kind of person I would be, if I would even know how to put on my boots. She was
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Captain, changing it up a little bit, what is your favorite part about being the patrol captain for Nueces County Sheriff's Office, working for Sheriff J.C. Hoover?
Oh man! So my favorite part is having the autonomy to decorate the walls, probably. No, I'm just kidding. The office is nice. You should come and take a tour.
Yeah.
I actually take a lot of pride in it. You know how to.
I know.
It's very serene out here.
Yes.
It gives a good,
calming vibe. Yeah.
And so although that is one of my favorite, just the opportunity and the trust that the sheriff gives me, I think, is fun. It's a lot, and I enjoy that somebody of his level trusts me. The sheriff, he trusts me to lead his department. This patrol
division,
the chief deputy cook. That relationship with him, as he's my immediate supervisor, that's an exciting part for me. He comes 40 years experience from CCPD. He was the SWAT commander. He was the lead bomb guy. He was in charge of the bomb squad. He was in charge of the dive unit. So like all those high stress situations that we deal with out here in the county, Chief Cook has done them 10 times over. Right. So seeing him and having him there, that's one of my favorite parts of it, is because I get to draw from those experiences. I get to pick his brain on some of those things and put it in my tool belt and use them, because nothing surprises Chief Cook. You know, he comes to a scene and it's like you can just breathe. Something on the field, you're going to be able to approach the chief. And he's going to know exactly what to do because of those experiences.
Just because he's been there long enough, so, man, he's going to know.
I am super thankful to have him there, you know, and for as long as hopefully he stays a long time, because there's always something that he's teaching me and something that I'm learning from him. So when you talk about one of the favorite parts, having that resource or that wealth of knowledge from him is something that I'm probably going to keep drawing from and keep using as I continue. Even once he's retired, living in his lake house with his legs kicked up, I'm still going to use it, right? Because he's that, you know. Yeah, and he is a demanding supervisor. You know? But I like that. My dad was demanding too. Right. You know, when you mess up, tell me about it. What one thing I liked about my dad and Chief Cook that I could put them together where they have similarities is you're going to know where you stand with him.
Fair but firm.
You're going to know where you stand. You're not going to have to guess because he's going to talk to you in a certain tone. He's going to say certain things. And you're going to know you messed up, or you're going to know that you did a good job.
You did the right thing.
You did a good job today. And so my dad and Chief Cook are similar in that respect, that if you mess up, they're going to let you know. Whether you like the tone or not, they're going to tell you. And then when you do good, they're going to pat you on the back and say, man, that was a damn good job. And so, yeah, that's probably my favorite part, is having those two gentlemen to look up to and to learn from.
Well, does anybody have any questions out there?
I do have one more question before we jump into Q&A. Just what would you tell someone who grew up like you about their own potential, regardless of whether they want to work at the sheriff's office or not? What would you tell them about their potential and how to go about reaching them?
Yeah, so one of the main things for me growing up, where I grew up on the west side of Corpus, you know, on the ABC streets, and the, you know, the different lessons that I learned growing up there is, you know, like I said earlier, I can't overestimate the importance of my father and having a strong male role model. I think one of the most, whether you're male or female, just attach yourself, find a mentor, somebody who shares the same desires as you to be great or to accomplish a certain goal. It doesn't have to be law enforcement, like I said, right? Mm-hmm. Anything. Surrounding yourself with good people to push you to your most potential is probably the best advice I can give, even early on. Like playing sports, those coaches and even your teammates, you know, the ones that stand out. I want to be that good at that. You know, I want to make varsity. So you attach yourself to the varsity. I want to be Jet. I attach myself to him. I want to be a supervisor. I want to learn from him. Like even now, I'm the chief deputy. I do aspire to do the next step. So what am I doing now? I'm attaching myself to a mentor, a role model that's going to, so at every level, you can continue to do that. Even that's what I tell my kids, you know, surround yourself with people that are going to bring the best out of you, not the people that are going to bring you down. Right. Because you are you are the company you keep. So surround yourself with good people that are going to push you and hold you accountable when you mess up. That is the most important advice that I can give. And that, I think that advice and applying that in any field.
It doesn't matter if you're in law enforcement or not.
Right.
It could be like your church, you know, like, you know, like I'm Catholic. I know Captain is Catholic. Yeah. You know, it could be your church, you know, get involved with your church, do something positive, right? And so have somebody there as a role model.
Yeah. And do, you know, live up to your fullest potential, because everybody has a purpose here. And it's your job to go and find what it is and give everything you have to it and make an impact while you're here. You know, we're only here for a little bit.
That's right.
All right. Well, let's see if we've got any questions.
So let's see.
I have seen some comments. I think this might be Autumn Galvin.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's one of the greatest supervisors I've worked for.
Oh, man.
Miss y'all guys.
We miss you too, Autumn. We miss you a lot. I actually just saw you on a picture. Lieutenant Wood sent me a picture of you. You were doing Tip-A-Cop and you're where you're working.
Oh, now. Nice.
I think you look better in tan. This is my opinion. But the blue looks sharp.
There's no place like home.
And she knows
she'll be
too.
back, right?
And Autumn, and there's a spot for you here. I know we're fully staffed, but we have a spot for you here.
Joey Soto says he has a question. Well, let us know your question, but he also said the man, the myth, the legend, best supervisor I've ever had the privilege to work for.
We also had
Was that Joey?
And you are perfect, sir. Okay, somebody's trying to get some
If he needs a day off, just ask me and you're gonna get it.
Somebody's trying to get some brownie points.
The chief of, I believe it is Calalina ISD, John Garcia.
Oh yeah, dear friend.
Yeah, he said, Captain Martinez is the GOAT.
Oh man,
So-
yeah. I already told you our canines are gonna go and help you. Don't worry, we're gonna be there, man. John Garcia is somebody too. When I was working in Chief Garcia, much respect, good friend, dear friend of mine, an educated man, bachelor's degree. Grew up in Robstown. He's somebody that worked in his hometown, so he can attest to patrolling your hometown, like we were talking about earlier. He's one. I met him as I was in the jail, and he was an officer bringing people in. So yeah, man, we go way back. And if you ever need anything from us, Chief, let us know. And I'm glad to know you. I'm proud to know you the same. I think you're great too.
It's funny how fast time goes by. I remember us working at Forest, being in the green uniforms, and then we've transitioned, a couple of times. Now we're slowly transitioning to different positions, but to me it still seems like it was just yesterday, and now 10, 15, 18 years is going by, and it kind of, you blink and it goes by so fast. So
yeah, like I said earlier, people have progressed, and like yourself, making promoting to lieutenant, the position I'm in now, and back to Chief Garcia. He's now the chief officer of the Cadena ISD school district. And so yeah, he's doing a good job there. He's representing that community well.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's considers us a resource, and we're always there for him.
So we just got another comment. It says, it is very humbling position to serve the community, not knowing that one will impact the people you meet for the rest of your life. And I applaud your position for serving the citizens of Nueces County. I know that you are truly dedicated to the men and women that you serve. Thank you all for what you do, and be safe.
So she applauds your passion.
I appreciate that. That was really nice to hear. And thanks for trusting us to do that job for you guys. And I think that sentiment and that feeling goes down to every patrolman that's out here, even the correctional officers. I think we were really proud to be able to serve.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pride in the sheriff's office.
Absolutely.
You can see it walking around the halls every day.
Sure. And to see when the community sees it,
Right.
and the sheriff can say when you bring him back on here, the letters he gets and the thanks he gets from those people who recognize it and see that play itself out.
Interactions out in the community when nobody else is watching.
It's the
yeah.
best, right? And so to hear that, those are the kind of things that make you proud. If somebody sees it and you've made a positive impact on those people.
Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for bearing with us with our internet
And computer
outage,
camera issues, all
today.
that.
But like I said, this is just our episode 3, and we're still working through some things. Thank you for being out there.
Thank you, Captain, for sitting down with us. I know you're busy. I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us.
It was a lot of fun, to talk about this and going down memory lane, and it brings back the passion to the surface. Sometimes it gets lost in everything we do, but talking about it and reliving those things really gets you fired up, and I hope it does the same for anybody watching.
I think it's great for the community to see, how you guys start and go out throughout your careers, and the passion behind that has to be there. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on.
So next month we're gonna have one of our jet officers from the jail. Actually,
Yes,
it's gonna be Mr. Lane, and he's one of the mental health officers that works hand in hand. We have a huge population in the jail that are mental health consumers, and that's who we're gonna have next on the show. So stay tuned.
Can't sign off yet.
Uh-oh.
We got a message from Mrs. Martinez herself.
Oh,
nice.
She says, "It's been my pleasure being by your side. What a ride. Can't wait to see what the other half will bring. You're simply the best. I love you. And I agree with Soto. You're perfect." So, can't sign off before we give her a shout out. Thanks for commenting.
Baby, I love you. You're going to make me cry.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We will see you guys next month, and we will have Mr. Lane here.
All right. Bye, you guys.